Cauliflower is having a bit of a moment, and for good reason. It's time to celebrate this. You've got to try my veggie curry with golden cauliflower rice. Now, as veggie curries go, this is a fantastic one, specifically because I'm using aubergine as our meaty texture here. It really stands up to the heat and the spice that we're going to add here. So for our aromatics, I have some ginger, I have a little bit of garlic, and I want to grab an onion as well, just to start sweating it off. I always feel a good curry starts with really good caramelized onions. So pan on nice and hot while we chop up this onion. So nice fine chop on our onions. I know I'm going on about the onion, but really at this point, this is where you're talking about building flavors in the pan. So by caramelizing it out, you're really bringing in as much sweetness as you can possibly muster from them. So take your time with this. Let these sweat out for a good 6 to 8 minutes or even a little bit longer. I always, as soon as I add onion to a pan, season it up with sea salt. It helps draw out the moisture and it'll help these cook down really nicely. Bit of pepper in there as well for a bit of bite. And it's all about seasoning as you go, especially with a curry like this. Give it a little stir and now let the pan and the heat do its work. I've actually turned down the temperature to about kind of a medium to low heat, and we're just going to keep an eye on them and tend to them as we need to. Now, aromatics, I've got some garlic and some ginger. I always think a curry like this can take as much as you can possibly muster. So I've got about 4 or 5 cloves here. I always think garlic is one of those ingredients that people skimp on, and it really does need that big, bold flavour in a curry like this. So just take up the ends and then smash off the skins. And we're going to get a nice fine chop in these. Both garlic and ginger here are fantastic aromatics to add at the start point of a curry like this. We're going with a nice fine chop on this ginger, and then you're just going to take nice little julienne pieces. Okay, these are looking good. Nice pile of ginger, nice pile of garlic. I know it's a lot, but when it cooks down and it's had its time, you still want to taste it. You want it to sing in this dish. So let's have a look at our onions. This is where we need to be, golden brown little morsels of onion. So to this, we're getting straight in there with our aromatics, ginger and garlic. Get it in there, and it literally takes moments to start coming together and becoming aromatic. So I'm going to up the heat ever so slightly, and while it's cooking out, let's get onto our aubergine. So very easy veg to prep, really meaty, and if you didn't want to do this with aubergine, you could easily do it with sweet potato. It cooks out slightly differently, but both are a fantastic addition to a curry like this. Split them down the middle and let's get these chunked up. So nice little bite-sized pieces. And let's just get these straight into the pan as we're cutting them. The fantastic thing about aubergine, and the reason I love using it in a recipe like this, is that it doesn't have a strong taste here, but it takes on any flavor that you introduce it to. I start getting that introduced to the onions, the garlic, the ginger, all the great things that are happening here. And the minute it adds in there, it does have a tendency to soak up the oil. So if it does look like it needs a little bit more, just add a drizzle. Okay, we're starting to bring it all together. So let's talk about spices. A fantastic superfood in minutes ingredient is garam masala, a great mix of spices, really heady, really earthy, and a fantastic start to the base flavors of this lovely curry. Really responds well to being added to heat like this. So get that stirred through. And we're starting to bring this together really nicely. To make this curry just that little bit more interesting, a great ingredient is some nigella seeds. They're basically onion seeds, and you pop them on your tongue, and they have this kind of sweetness to them that just kind of is this undercurrent of flavor in a curry like this. So a little sprinkle of that will go a long way. Straight in there with some chopped tomatoes. And using the tin, we're going to rinse it out with a little bit of water and add that to the pan as well. Right, now we're cooking. Aubergine's looking good. Scrape off any of those kind of caramelized bits at the bottom of the pan and just use that little spatula to kind of incorporate it into the pan, into the sauce, and into those aubergines. Now, every good curry dish needs some rice to go alongside it, but we're going to do something a little bit special, a little bit different, and give it the superfood in minutes treatment.
Take 2 cloves of garlic and sprinkle with some sea salt. Mash it up carefully with the blade of a large knife. Get some oil into a pan on a medium heat. Add some riced cauliflower and then pop that mashed garlic in on top. As it cooks, add some turmeric for colour and an extra bit of seasoning with some sea salt and black pepper. Add a little water to help it cook evenly and then keep it moving in the pan so that it doesn't catch. And that's it.
We're right where we need to be. So grab some yogurt from the fridge. This is a fantastic little tip just when you're getting to the end of a curry like this. Some nice, cool, creamy yogurt is going to affect both the colour of this and it's going to mellow out that flavour. So give that a good stir. I mean, look at that. This is good to serve. Golden cauliflower rice. Look at that. The colour alone just makes it inviting. And to this, don't forget about that beautiful curry. Look at that. Steaming hot, tender pieces of aubergine. I mean, vegetarian food has never looked this good. Right, a little bit of aromatics. Just that hit of coriander over the top makes all the difference. I know I go on about this, but it really is about layering up the flavours. Let's give it a taste. I mean, you've got all the key elements of what you know and love about a curry, completely given the superfood in minutes treatment, and just humming with spice and flavour. This is the keeper.
How delicious does that look? That's the kind of dish I want to sit down to.
I love the classic Dan Dan noodle, but I wanted to create something that's a little bit lighter and more weeknight friendly. So here comes dinner.
First things first, get the pak choi chopped into quarters and quickly blanch them in a pot of boiling water for just a few moments. Then, in another pot of boiling water, cook the ramen noodles for about 2 to 3 minutes. Grate the ginger and finely slice the spring onions at an angle. Now for the fun. Toast the Szechuan peppercorns in a hot pan for about a minute until they become nice and fragrant. Drain the noodles and get some oil into the pan on a high heat. First, fry the ginger, then add the soy mince and the peppercorns and give it all a good stir. When the mince is starting to brown, pop in the pak choi and the spring onions for a quick mix before adding the rice wine. While that steams, quickly make a dressing by combining the soy sauce, rice wine vinegar and chili oil. Serve it up in a bowl with the noodles, stir fry and some of that unctuous dressing. What a killer dish. Please, please try it tonight.
It's the 5-minute meal challenge, and today I have an absolute belter. This is a gorgeous sticky halloumi with a tabbouleh salad, and it is phenomenal to make. Really simple, really quick, and we are going to get 5 minutes on the clock. Let's click start, and let's get cooking. Right, first job, let's get some stuff out of the fridge. I got some spring onions, some cucumber, and some halloumi cheese. If you've not cooked with this, it is a spectacular ingredient that is quite unusual in that you cook cheese. It goes nice and squeaky when you cook it, and we're just going to slice it into kind of about half a centimetre pieces. About half this block should do us quite nicely for an individual portion. We're going to get the pan on nice and hot with a little bit of oil going in here. This is a bit of a cheats tabbouleh because we are going to use cauliflower rice rather than couscous. So I'm going to add some key ingredients in here, which are some cucumber, some spring onion, a little bit of sun-dried tomato, and some fresh herbs, some parsley and mint. So slice your cucumber in half, and then we're going to basically clack this into nice chunks. Clack is an interesting word that I didn't think I'd be using in this 5-minute meal challenge, but there you go. You never know what's going to come out when you're alive like this. So nice little pieces of cucumber is what we're looking for here. Our oil is coming up to temperature, so I'm going to get our halloumi in just once I have this sliced into pieces. Straight in there with our halloumi, and if it's not sizzling, it's not hot enough. So make sure that you have a sizzling hot pan before you get your halloumi in there. Otherwise, you're not going to get gorgeous golden brown on this. So back to our cucumber, just nice little cubes of your cucumber here. So this is really where you can kind of mix it up and use whatever veggies you have. Just slice them up nice and fine, and they go in really nicely with this cauliflower rice. To a bowl, we've got our cucumber. We're going to get in there with our herbs as well, because otherwise I'm going to forget. So straight in there with some mint leaves and a little bit of flat leaf parsley as well. So just basically break those herbs in there. Stalks, Don't worry about them if they're too hardy, you can leave them out. Otherwise, if they're nice and fine like these, I've just kept them in. So back to our spring onions, slice off the ends and slice off the tops, get rid of any little rubber bands, and then we're just gonna slice these into nice little rounds. So gives you that kind of fresh bite, and I do think adding a little bit of raw spring onion in here is just really quite nice. The great thing about this recipe is that it works quite well as a lunchbox filler. Even if you have the halloumi cold, it still has loads of flavor, and the great thing about it is that we're gonna do a little trick that's gonna make things a little bit more interesting. I've got 2 minutes and 42 seconds on the clock. I'm gonna try and get my halloumi turned. So let's get over here, and we're just gonna pop these very gently over. Look at that, gorgeous golden, a little bit more than I would possibly like, but hey, we've got 5 minutes on the clock, you gotta keep going. Turn that heat down, go in there, this is the trick. Get in there with a little bit of balsamic vinegar, about a teaspoon or so, in there with some sweet honey. This is gonna give you this gorgeous, sticky, acidic glaze, and just get shuffling in the pan. This is where it's at, and this is where you're gonna get really different and altogether gorgeous halloumi. Now, let's talk about our cauliflower. This is a really great way with cauliflower. If you have a beautiful piece or head of cauliflower like this, we're just gonna take off the edges, any of those stalks, and we're gonna turn this into what will be our couscous. With 1 minute and 59 seconds on the clock, this is the key pieces of kitchen equipment you're gonna need. A little box grater, and you're gonna just rub that up against the sort of wide setting, and look at that gorgeous little cauliflower rice that you've done in no time at all. You don't need a food processor, you don't need to buy it from the shops. You've done it all by hand. You can pat yourself on the back after this and know you've done a good job. It might feel like it's a strange thing to have raw cauliflower, but I can promise you it's the bite and it's the sort of that rawness that is quite nice with brassica in general, which works quite well here. So little bit of cauliflower rice. I'm kind of getting that all over the counter with 1 minute and 24 seconds to go, but I promise you, this really does leave you with a really interesting tabbouleh. So grate up as much as you can. With the time I have left, I'm gonna turn off the heat on this before it goes completely on it. Give it a quick toss and look at that really gorgeous sticky action going on here. We're gonna get in there. Oh, JD Mac, hold on to it. Get your lovely rice in there. We're gonna get our tomatoes in as well. Where have they gone? Oh my goodness, they're in a bowl. So we're gonna slice these up. Take those sun-dried tomatoes and just give them a little rattle through till you have nice little slices. These are a powerhouse of flavor, a really great superfood in minutes. Right, we've got loads of great things going on there, but I do need to dress this. My pan is off at this point, so we've got sticky halloumi. We've got 42 seconds left. We've got a little bit of lemon juice to go in here. Where's my lemons? Oh my goodness, they're over here, hang on. Right, a little squeeze of this for a bit of acidity is gonna help you. So get that sliced up and you're gonna squeeze this through your hands just so that you don't get any pits. 27 seconds. Janie Mac, I'm out of breath at this point. But it's time to serve up. So get your plate out, grab up a spoon and give it a good toss through. Little salt and pepper, don't forget your seasoning, otherwise there's no point. So give it a good toss through and look at that, great flavors, great vibrancy. 9 seconds, stick with me lads, stick with me. So get that onto your plate. We're out of time in 3, 2, 1, but just about there. Everything's cooked, so stick with me. We're gonna add this last little bit of sticky halloumi over the top. You can just imagine what that tastes like. Beautiful acidity, great little sweetness, and then that salty kick from the halloumi. Have a look at that. This is a real winner, and it's something that I hope you try. Please give it a go. That is my gorgeous sticky halloumi salad with a gorgeous tabbouleh. It's an absolute winner. Give it a try. Mushrooms can split a household in half. Some love them and some hate them. I love them, my wife hates them, but the secret is how you fry that fungi.
Get some butter into a large pan on a medium heat. Add some thinly sliced garlic with half the oyster mushrooms. Even at half, it might look like a lot, but they will reduce very quickly and soak up all that buttery goodness. Let them fry until they start to brown and then add some paprika and give it a good stir. Set that batch aside and repeat exactly the same steps for the rest of the mushrooms in the bowl. Add a little more oil to the same pan. Get in there with some kale that has the toughest parts of the stem removed. Season with salt and black pepper and then stir it until it wilts down. Put the kale in the bowl with the mushrooms. Now, on a clean board, chop some parsley with dill and add it to the bowl of pre-cooked grains. Add a glug of olive oil and some seasoning. For some brightness, get in there with some lemon juice. Give it all a good mix through and serve it straight to a plate. Now it's time for the mushrooms and kale. Garnish with a dollop of sour cream, sprinkle some extra paprika over the top, and serve it straight to the table. A very tidy, some might say meaty, mushroom meal in minutes. Next up, General Tso's Stir Fry. It's hugely popular in Chinese restaurants in the States and a great dinner fix if sweet and sour is your go-to. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, tofu is not an ingredient that I use too often, but I have come up with the easiest way of getting it really crispy, and that has been an absolute game changer. It works perfectly in this recipe, but if you're cooking it in general, this is a great little tip. So we want to squeeze out as much of the moisture out of a block of tofu like this. So to do that, I have a little bit of kitchen paper, and we're just going to wrap the tofu in the kitchen paper. And then it's just a little bit of brute force. You got to get in there and squeeze it until as much of that liquid is out of it. This will ensure that you get really, really crispy tofu that goes gorgeously golden brown. It completely changes the texture, so it's well worth the effort. This is looking pretty good. This is actually quite a firm piece of tofu. And once you've taken out most of that moisture, it's time to slice it up. So we're going to cut this into cubes. Little bite-sized pieces is what you're after. Now, my little method is twofold. Firstly, it's to squeeze out the moisture. And secondly, it's to add a touch of corn flour. And the corn flour helps give you this gorgeous crispy exterior when you fry it off in the pan. So straight into a bowl, a teaspoon or so of corn flour, and then just give it a good mix up. As soon as it's nicely coated, set it aside. Now it's time for the sauce. This is the secret to creating that classic General Tso sauce, which is sticky, it's sweet, it's a little bit sour at the same time. And for that, we're going to need a teaspoon of sesame oil, 3 tablespoons of rice wine vinegar, 3 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce, a heaped spoonful of hoisin sauce. That goes straight in. And for a little bit of sweetness, some brown sugar. This makes all the difference, so please don't skimp on this. That balance of sweetness and saltiness is essential to a lot of recipes like this, so it's well worth adding in here. Give it a good whisk up. Right, that is our sauce all good to go. We've got our tofu and the corn flour. Let's talk aromatics. One of my favorite combination of ingredients is Thai red chilies, ginger and garlic. And some broccoli for good measure. But it's the holy trinity of chili, ginger, and garlic that are going to give us serious aromatics here. So I want to go a hefty amount of all, and let's get chopping. Slice the garlic, chili, and ginger into thin strips. These are the perfect size for stir fries like this. They cook in no time and have the right kind of bite if you just time it right. Then take a whole head of broccoli and cut off the florets into bite-sized chunks.
Right, broccoli sorted. Pan's coming up to temperature. Get some oil in the pan, and really what you're looking for is a screaming hot pan, because this is all going to come together really quickly, and the minute you start adding ingredients in there, the temperature drops in the pan. So if you don't start with one that's nice and hot, it's just curtains. It's going to sweat off your ingredients and you're not going to get that golden color. So once that pan is nice and hot, it's time to get in there. We're looking for these little blocks to turn golden and crispy on all sides. This whole dish is actually vegan, so it's a really great one if you have friends coming around for dinner because it suits everyone. It tastes fantastic, and it tastes quite meaty too, so nobody's missing out. But if you're using it for stir fries like this, try and get your hands on the firm stuff because it's that will give you that crispy texture and will hold its shape when you stir fry it alongside some other ingredients. This is what you're after. Glorious golden goodness and beautiful pieces of tofu that have a bit of texture. So I'm going to just transfer these out with a slotted spoon. You can hear the rattle of them as they hit the plate, and that's how you know you've got crispy tofu. We're going to lose a little bit of that oil, so just pop that straight out, leaving about a tablespoon or so of it. And while it's still hot and it's smoking and we got all that action, straight in with some garlic, chili, and ginger. Give it a quick stir, and then you get a bit of chili up your nose, and you know you're cooking. This is where it needs to be. Straight in with the broccoli. Give that a good toss, get your broccoli involved, and just to start off the steaming action, I'm going to add in a little splash of water. Give it a good shuffle. To this, we're gonna get in there with that magic sauce that we prepared. And give it a little shuffle. The sugar in that sauce is gonna help reduce it, and it's gonna give you that really glossy, gorgeous General Tso classic sauce.
To maximise the heat without letting it overcook, pop the lid on for a tick to capture all that steam.
This is where you need to be. That sauce should be viscous and bubbling, and your broccoli should be cooked through, and at that point, it's now time to get in there with the tofu. And literally, everything is done at this point, so just give it a good toss through, get those tofu pieces completely coated in that sticky sauce. Right, dinner is ready to serve. Nice bed of rice, glorious tofu, and the great thing is, it just soaks up all that sweet, sticky sauce. And look at that. The kind of food you want to cook. It's all the things you expect from a General Tso dish, but in tofu form. Seriously spicy, seriously sticky, and that tofu just shines using that very simple method. I'm off to eat the rest.